Hello everyone. So this session is all about DB performance testing. As some of you might already know, when we do the DB testing, there are two core requirement of it. How many number of connection we can make with that database. Second one is the number of queries can be hit over these connections. Let us consider if we are making a connection and there is a requirement comes at the same connection 250 requests can be made at the same time, so that could be a different requirement, and there could be a situation where we can say it's 250 connections need to be made on any application. I mean, these many users are been getting logged in at the same time. So two core requirements what I am bringing it from the DB performance testing side. For showcasing this requirement, how we are creating the suite and other things, I'm using JMeter. This will be presenting on our local host. I'm creating an SQL instance. For my demo, I'm using MySQL. I will be presenting how to do the setup, how to create a suite, and finally how to test it. So for doing the setup, I'm using a XAMPP, which have this MySQL instance running on 3306 port. I am using Workbench just to run my queries and seeing how it's been performing. Use MySQL. Because if you see in the XAMPP there are multiple database. So I had used MySQL, and then I have executed a query. But when we run things in JMeter, we need to do the complete setup. So the setup first part is library. So it depends on which type of database we are using. If it is MySQL, then there is a jar we need to download it. The jar called as MySQL connector Java and the version. But if it is Oracle DB or SQL Server, the jar will be different. So once we do that, we need to place this jar in JMeter library folder, and then uh, restart our JMeter. It will be good to use the classes what we are creating and the drivers. Once that is done, I will be opening this JMeter suite where I have created a thread group. If you click on thread group, there is thing called config element. Inside that there is something called JDBC connection configuration. Any type of database we need to select this thing. So once we create that, it will give you the multiple option about like which what is the variable you need to use for the create pool. Depend on this connection, this is the request what we are going to fire against this connection. So every time this is nothing but a kind of a connection string, or you can say. So how many number of connection we are allowed? So remember we talked about there are two core requirement. The first requirement is how many number of connection we need to check at the same time, so we can increase or decrease this thing. The main part here is database connection configuration, database URL. So right now, as you had already seen, I have used SAMP, which is again nothing but running on my local host. So this is the database URL. This MySQL is the database name, and this is the driver. So again, depending on what is the database we are using, there are n number of drivers present. So for now I am using MySQL. The username is root, and there is no password as of now, but if it is, you can mention it here. If you are using SQL server, you need to specifically mention here database name equal to database name, kind of this database name equal to this. For MySQL, there is no requirement of this, so I'm removing it. So yeah, once this has been done, we will be creating a sampler, which is the JDBC request. Here we just need to pass that parameter. Remember, in JMeter, usually when we pass a variable name, we use dollar, then bracket, then variable name. But here we not need to pass anything, just the parameter name. Then we need to select like which type of SQL query we need to fire. As of now, I am just doing a simple select statement from user. So yeah, when I hit this thing, it is going to head to the localhost DB instance, and this is something what it return. Just to confirm this thing, I have opened the same thing in Workbench, and we will be able to see the same records there. So we are good to do the configuration. Now there are once like we do this setup, there are some of the challenges, or I would say some of the exceptions what we get. I will be talking about that as well. So on very high level, I can say, like, if we are not passing this value, this connection configuration, if we are not passing this value, most of the errors are been coming due to this only. um, if you are doing this first time, you might be facing this issue, like cannot create JDBC driver for the URL what you are passing. So there could be 2 to 3 issues due to this. Maybe the library which you are using corresponding to that database is not correct. Maybe you are using MySQL, and the database what you are using is SQL Server, so it will give that error. So that could be first thing. Second thing is there could be some issue with this URL. As I said, like, this could be, if you are using MySQL, this could be your database name. But if you are using SQL Server, you need to explicitly mention this thing for writing the same thing, right? So you need to check this URL, and then you need to select the appropriate driver class. So once you select both these things, these errors what you might be facing should be get removed. Cannot create JDBC driver, or it could be object is not found, session is null. So at any point of time you will be getting these errors. But if you put all these configuration correctly, you will not get any error. You can extend this reporting. As of now, just for the demo purpose, I have done this as the basic view result tree. You can add as many number of listener here, and you can easily see what exactly could be the requirement. Like if I am increasing the total number of users, it will be getting displayed correctly, like what is the throughput time. I mean, this is a pure sampler. You can put a throughput sampler here, um, throughput constant timer, and multiple things we can do out of it, but this is the main suit, basic suit what we can do. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.